I am really, really honored to be here. I used to live here when it was cheap. I moved here in 71, 72. Paid $160 a month rent in Noe Valley for a 3-bedroom. I live in Austin, Texas now. It's getting that way too. I'm going to read from a work in progress. Peg and I were talking about the fact that in bookstores you kind of have to hawk your books, and so it's series like this where you get to read something that's a little bit maybe rawer. And so I've been working on this memoir. I just started really, and the topic was interesting to me, the heart of the matter, because I've written all this thinly disguised autobiography for years in fiction, but writing an actual memoir, to me, it's not only the heart of the matter, but it's getting right down to the bone. My working title was Where the Heart Was, but last night I think I decided on a new title called Predictions of the Past. Predictions of the Past, a memoir with many addresses. I have never met a place I didn't leave. You are here, the map says, and all the roads I've traveled have led me to this spot, longitude 98.01.01, latitude Austin, Texas. At the moment I'm living in a 1969 Airstream trailer up on blocks. I'm trying to stay put. I've left deep impressions or none at all on the many houses I've tried to call home. What happened, when, and to whom? Hearsay, wishful thinking, rumors, white lies, stories. The ones my family can live with. So here's mine. Pick a place, any place. Where? A place I remember well, or thought I did. So it's summer 1958, late afternoon, Fine Lake, Michigan, 12 miles from Kalamazoo, and I'm 7 years old. Walking to a clearing in the woods near the house with my father. We're looking for the right spot. It's a partly cloudy day. Right here, he says. He sets down his hammer and saw on the ground. I watch him carefully. I'm not sure what he's going to do next. It's almost as if I'm standing next to a stranger. I didn't know he could do anything with his hands like other fathers. He's not like other fathers. He's older. He's different. He writes and he types with 2 fingers on a green Hermes typewriter late into the night. His hair is thinned down to strands of gray combed straight back across his head. His hands are huge, big-knuckled, but not calloused. Dark blue veins travel across his wrists up his arms and disappear inside his heart. Already sweat beads on his bare, broad forehead, and his horn-rimmed sunglasses slip down his nose. He hands me the tape measure while he pulls the yellow tongue, walking away from me. The metal tape flexes, sounding like miniature thunder rippling through the air between us. He keeps walking until the right number appears on the tape, and then he stops. He lets go of his end, and the tape snakes its way back. My father takes a stick from his pocket and pushes it into the ground. He says, "This is where one of the corners of my playhouse is going to be." To the west, the sun breaks through like a spotlight, and the flat surface of the lake shines as bright as a silver dollar. A playhouse of my own, to put on plays. I'm a very lucky girl. A truck delivers the lumber, boards so new they're blonde and smell like the forest they came from. My father picks one up and places it between 2 sawhorses. He bends forward and tears into the 4x4 with a handsaw. He looks like he knows what he's doing. He even says the word joists, which sounds exotic to me. Did his father teach him? I've never met that grandfather who died long before I was born, and all I know is his name was Samuel, and he made shoes. Lots of shoes. My father nails 2x4s onto the joists, and I handle the nails, and we don't stop until the floor is done. It's starting to get late now, time to go. But I stay a little longer to admire my floor. My father walks toward the house, his silhouette growing smaller as he goes. I watch the lights come on. My mother must be cooking dinner. My sister must be sitting in her high chair. The new moon grins through the trees. I step onto the platform raised about 6 inches off the ground, which seems as high as a second story. I can barely make out the red and white house where we live. I know there are petunias behind a white picket fence that my mother planted, but from this distance and with so little light, they're blurry like a French painting. Our green and blue Packards are parked in the dirt road, a pair of whales that lost the ocean but found their way to the woods. We have a boat, we have a dock, and beyond the house to the west, the very last glow of the light on Fine Lake is turning pink, my favorite color. This is our very first house. Up until now, we've rented small places in 7 different towns in 3 different states. Now we're living like people in a magazine. I hear my name being called. I follow my mother's voice through the trees. Fall comes out of nowhere and school starts. The sun moves away. The trees start to turn their leaves a different color, and my blonde hair turns golden brown as if fall is changing me too. I still don't have a roof on the playhouse or walls, just a floor open to the sky. I'm learning a song. They call the wind Mariah. Way out west, they got a name for rain and wind and fire. The rain is Tess, the fire is Joe, and they call the wind Mariah. Winter drops down like something heavy, and a hard freeze seals up the lake. Other fathers build tiny houses on the ice with skinny smokestacks, ice fishing shacks, and they cut circles in the ice to fish. Scribbles of smoke come out of the small stoves where they warm their hands, and where, my father hints, they drink the way they want to. From my bedroom window, I see a tiny town happen overnight. On New Year's Eve, I climb the highest hill overlooking the lake. The setting sun turns the clouds sherbet orange and pink. I want to understand how a completely new year can be just hours away. Only a few months before, this lake opened to me as I swam or skied, my mother driving our boat, looking over her shoulder to make sure I was all right. Now the lake is frozen hard as a hammer. Dark figures move across the ice carrying lanterns, the men going to their ice houses. I look beyond the lake to the darkening clouds on the horizon as if I can see the edge of the new year coming toward me, as if there's a clear line between what was and what will be. There's no dividing line that I can see. In February, my mother disappears. She was only going to the hospital for tests, but ends up staying for almost a week. Feels like a month. Children aren't allowed inside, and that makes me so mad. My father has to take me to the sidewalk in front of the hospital so he can prove to me where she really is. He points to a window on the 4th floor. I look up and can just make her out. My mother, standing behind the closed window, waving. Tall, dark hair. I can't see her face. She's wearing something white. I squint into the sun and wave back. And soon she steps away from the window and the curtains fall into place again. 2 days later, there's a letter in the mailbox. She wrote in blue ink, "Dear Alison, your hair looked so pretty when I saw you yesterday. I'll be home soon." She said other things, I'm sure, but that's what I remember now. She saw me. I kept that letter for the longest time, and I lost it somehow in one of my many moves. It had actually been posted through the mail with a stamp, as if she'd written to me from very far away. There is no photograph of me standing on the platform of my unfinished playhouse in the woods about to sing, but the image is as clear as if it had been snapped, stored, and saved. I'm dressed in a blue snowsuit and black buckled boots. I step to the edge, arms spread wide. Mariah blows the stars around and sends the cloud flying. Mariah makes the mountains sound like folks up there were dying. Mariah, oh Mariah, they call the wind Mariah. Mariah, blow your love to me, I need my girl beside me. There's no one here but me. The trees listen and always have. They rustle the few leaves they have left. On the way home, I looked for the largest drift of snow and dig a cave. I climb in and curl up in there, waiting until someone comes looking for me. No one does. I listen to the wind, the Mariah wind singing to me. She knows exactly where I am, even though I'm hiding. There's just enough room for me.